Now, today it's going to be really, really interesting because our guest has dedicated majority of their life to growing the music industry in the country. What did you say?
Then I'm sitting there thinking, I've calculated my problems as a young person to say if I can cover 1, 2, 3, I'll be fine. Which is what I always advise young people. Before you make any business decision, calculate where it will take you. What will it solve in your life?
Wow. For something that was supposed to only be 3 months.
For 3
that was
months.
wow.
And it was a moment that changed my life, gave me international recognition, international opportunity to work with.
Amazing. And what role has Moshito actually played in policy in this country? Because we also know when government is actually concerned, in most cases, they need to interact with whichever spaces, particularly in the creative economy.
Yeah. So the formation of Moshito was purely to create that platform for government to meet with the sector at their own space. Of course, we'll want to see Moshito becoming bigger, having offices in the 9 provinces so that we can be able to work together with the municipalities and the government at province level to be able to curate great programs.
We're all about sharing the facts and teaching the tricks. Let's talk all things about music, the life of music. Let's engage about the rhythm. Let's talk about our passion for melodies, sound, and those beautiful classics. Let's get educated about these decibels we oh so dearly love. On this podcast, we talk about these politics. Welcome to Music Politricks. Sanbonani, Dimelang, Exe, Nakalina, Nabusi, Baba Kulu, Baba Dese, the Queen of Pitori, and welcome to another episode of Music Politricks. This is where we learn everything there is to learn about the music industry. We are here to learn all the facts and, of course, teach all the tricks through our expert guests that tend to come and join us over here. A big shout out to everybody on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on YouTube. Make sure that you do press that subscribe button, that notification bell, and comment to tell us what kind of conversations you'd like to have on the platform. Now, today it's going to be really, really interesting because our guest has dedicated majority of their life to growing the music industry in the country, has worked with the likes of the late, great Oliver Mtukudzi, Hugh Masekela, Salif, Keita. The list is endless. And he also serves as a chairperson at the Moshito Music Conference, which is actually one of the longest standing music conferences we've seen. Okay. He's also a vice president at Airco, okay? The Association of Independent Record Companies. We're going to be speaking about the various organizations he works with and exactly what they do and how he has grown the music industry in South Africa. The one, the only, Stanley Khoza. You're laughing. Can I?
Yeah, you know what? I always listen to people do introductions of my work, and sometimes I wonder if I've done all these things. Time flies. Time flies. But yeah, man, it's an honor to be here.
Yeah.
And I guess every opportunity to share knowledge. It's a platform that one appreciates a lot. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, your profile speaks for itself, but also what you just genuinely do, is really out of your heart because, like in a country like South Africa, the music industry can grow so much, but at the same time, it has grown so much. And it's through people like you.
Yeah, look, I think we live in a country that has a lot of talent. And of course, we all have a past of where we come from as a generation. And I think when I was growing up, the struggle, there was no social media then. It wasn't easy for an artist to be recognized. Just as it is today, you can walk up and post a video on TikTok and you become an instant hit.
Yeah.
So, of course, with the struggles then, one had to be tactical. One had to find ways to break into the system, especially if you're coming from a village in Bushbuckridge, Solani, and you want to make it in Johannesburg, where you know no one or have no relative, or get your music across. So one had to start at regional level, then go to provincial level, build it to national level. And before one knew it, I was a village boy that's well known in Japan.
Nice. That's so cool.
So I think out of that whole experience comes then the issue of how persistent are you in building your craft.
Yeah.
And also how you allow it to spiral out of control from a physical base, because back then everything was you will walk to a place if you want something done.
Yeah.
So there was no hotspot with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as compared to now. But I really enjoyed the upbringing in the music business. It's what molded me to where I am today.
Bushbuck Ridge, you're growing up. In your mind, what are you thinking? What do you think you will become? What kind of music are you exposed to at that time?
So I grew up in a house full of cassettes. My dad would buy all these cassettes. Your Lucky Dube, your Lazarus Khahudi, your Peter Tinet, Peter Tosh, your Miriam Makebas, your Ladysmith Black Mambazos. So I was always fascinated with these things. But the problem then is that you'll have the cassettes at home.
Yeah. Because
the tape will be home when he's home.
Yeah.
Go with it. So I couldn't afford to buy a tape player at the time. So I'll have a look at all these things and it'll just be fascinating items. So I'll go play them next door when there's a mixtape. And I used to listen to a lot of top 20s in different radio stations.
Okay.
Mimic the artist when they're performing, your Atamafukates, your Mdu, back then, So as one was growing up, I think my dad and my mom realized, no, man, I like listening to music. So they figured, to keep him at home, maybe let's just buy him a sound system. And they bought me a sound system, so they brought the cassettes closer. And that was before CDs. So each and every time they leave the family and go out, whether to meet friends or have commitments, I'll then open up their home as a performance center for the community.
Did they know this?
No, of course, at one point they found us raising. and we all know how it ends in black communities. So, it was one of those things. Then, music started catching fire, and I'll entertain people in schools, during school events. I'll create a balance between my studies because I come from a family that's very pro-education. They wanted us to have at least the basics of education in order to protect ourselves and to understand the business engagements. And I think that's one advantage that I'll forever be thankful for from my parents, because through education I've been able to make sure that I'm able to negotiate good deals, have the business acumen necessary to enter into any engagement with any person. I do not have low self-esteem. And of course, it allowed me to learn how to research about the business. Because you'll imagine from a village to a continental competitive business, one needed to be ready for it. So that's where education comes in. And that's why I always support artists or any person who wants to go to school.
But I understand you studied something that actually is not even aligned with music.
Yeah, look, I studied a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think at first, my first choice of studies was law. But back then, it was going to take 8 years for me to complete law. So I couldn't afford to spend 8 years in school because I had my sisters that I needed to take care of. So I'm the only boy in a family of 6. So I had to make sure that, let me at least study IT.
Okay.
I'll finish quicker, then get a job, then be able to be a brother to my sisters and be able to make sure that they go to school, they study, they've got a support system. I didn't want an environment where, as ladies, they're exposed to hard times. And also I didn't want them to become soft people. I wanted them to know that they've got a base to become whatever they want in life. Yeah.
No, that's really amazing. And of course, after you studied IT, and now you get into the music, like maybe perhaps more professionally. I don't know. You tell us. How did you then maneuver life after that?
So when I studied IT, I majored in system analysis and design, marketing, business communication, and majored in programming. So I mean, I can program almost anything. I understand how a petrol pump can calculate petrol and put a full tank and tell you how much it costs. So it's the tech in me. So after studying IT, I then had the opportunity. I guess I was always an active child. I was maybe one of a kind, so I may put it. So when I was studying, after school, we used to remain behind to study with other kids.
Sure.
Because we didn't have the luxury of study tables when we go back to rest. At the time, that wasn't there. So I started staying behind, teaching other learners who were slow to catch up.
Okay.
And what the school then discovered is that majority of the times, the classes that I run after school are more full than the classes the teachers themselves are conducting.
Wow, that's interesting.
So now, as the dean of the school was running around in classes, he found a class full, and I was at the front, busy writing and teaching. So he sat down. I didn't see that he was inside. He listened to the teachings, the questions, and everything. And I was helping out my fellows, trying to make sure that at least we all get an A+, so that we can have something to hold. Fast forward in the class, we were 405 in total. And he then made his notes, and then the following day I was called to the principal's office. And I thought I'm being expelled.
Oh, my.
And then they asked me, who gave you permission to hold classes after school? I said, no one gave me permission. I just felt that I can use the opportunity to help those who are slow. And they said, what inspires that? And I shared my views because I think maybe I had the opportunity to understand faster.
Sure.
So, to my surprise, I was then officially asked if it's something I want to do for a year. So, literally teach people. At the time, I didn't have no qualification about teaching.
Yeah.
I only have my ability and skills to adapt faster and my understanding of tech. So, of course, I accepted, and through that initiative, I trained over 405 people.
Wow.
Some of them today works in banks, some works in corporate companies, some works in sponsorship companies, some works in media houses, where I then find myself going to interviews and stuff, and you walk in, someone says, hey, sir, how's your student? You're like, okay, that's great. So those are some of the highlights, I think, of me growing. Now, fast forward, while I was doing that training, there was a studio on the 6th floor. The school was on the 7th floor. So when I'm done with classes, I was not the type of people that came to Joburg to sleep. I had a concept in mind that I need to do as much as I can to make sure that I pass, be able to take care of home. But I also had this passion to try and understand what's happening in the studio.
And the studio being a music studio?
A music studio. So I'll go in downstairs, they sit, watch them record. So one day the engineer wanted to record himself. So, it's just a 2-room studio.
Yeah.
So you need to go to the other side.
Yeah.
And then comes back. So I'm looking at him. He presses R. He goes there. Comes back, presses space bar. I'm like, no, man, I can do this thing. It's not complicated. And I'm like, no, don't come back. Stand there.
Well, now you'll sort out the
space
pressing.
bar, R, space bar. So then the next thing he comes back, I'm able to move now. He's recorded vocals. Then I'm watching him cut. I'm like, okay, it's not too complex. So I guess with the background of computers, it kind of gave me the insights of how it's working. So I learned over time by observing.
Okay.
I'm one person. I can watch a person and look at what you do and trust me, in an hour or so, I can do exactly the same thing you're doing if I want to do it better.
Sure.
So when you are disadvantaged with or limited in terms of access, so you use the time to learn as fast as you can. So that's what I did. And fast forward, that was my beginning of being a music producer.
That is so cool.
Because then the passion now grew. Now I had to understand this, the recording of the instrument, the recording of the vocals, what you look for. And I'll study it and I'll research on my own.
Okay, that is so cool, And then Jiggy Jiggy, you're working with greats like Oliver Mtukudzi, with Hugh Masekela. I mean, what?
Look, life has its way. I guess with me, so fast forward, I record my first demo.
Dreamstream, a place to create yourself. Record video, music, and podcasts in our full-service studio. Record video, music, and podcasts in our full-service studio. Dreamstream, a place to create yourself.
So it was Stanley Khoza, and then I registered the first time as a composer at Sambro. Then we cut the name to Heavy K, which then becomes the biggest thing in my lifetime. I think my first property was Out of Music, that first album.
That's so cool.
My industry reputation started there. I'll compete with all the peers and the legends that I looked up to. And with that experience of being a pro indie that's making it, then that's how I got introduced to the process of management.
Okay.
Because people will want to book Heavy, who needs a manager. So Stanley was Heavy's manager.
Okay.
And fast forward, worked closely with TS Records, about DJs who Pro Kid. Then fast forward, got a full-time job with Sipho Makabane. Where I worked with him, we built grades like Klingwe Mhlaba, Tobegile, Ngandweni Christ Ambassadors. And of course, when Sipho left Sony, we released his own albums under his own company.
Wow.
And we took on the world as the biggest gospel independent label under Big Fish. And all those experiences catapulted to what I've become today.
That's amazing, hey? And what I love is like you've got this getting curiosity or hunger to learn, because I mean this all started from you were doing IT,
Yes.
then you're a music producer, then sharp, you're an artist management, then in the record label side of things.
Yeah.
And
so I started managing myself.
yeah.
So Heavy, who's me, was a product that's in demand.
I see.
But no one understood the vision and no one was prepared to suffer the consequences of building with me. So I then said, okay, fine, Heavy will focus on the stage issues.
Yeah.
Stanley focus on the admin issues.
So
So Stanley was built to protect Heavy.
Okay.
And that's how it started. And then from there, the success of Heavy invited other artists who wants to work with Stanley, looking at what Stanley was doing for the product Heavy. And of course, if you fast forward, I was doing this while working in a gospel record company.
My goodness.
So all this was a secret.
Wow.
So I go to work in the morning. I'm sitting with Sipho Makabane, we're busy planning all this stuff, and the song is playing on Ukhozi FM.
Yeah.
It's Mam Dudu. They're busy playing a remix of Zia Windonga, which I did of Sipho Makabane.
Wow.
So I took a gospel song, made it a house song. And then it's playing on Ukhozi FM, and they're like, yeah, Mfana Makavani. It's a beautiful song, ladies and gentlemen. And sitting here like, yeah. Then he says to me, Yona Shangan, what happened? When did you do this? So of course we I then had to confess that, no, I do this at night when I get home. Then he says to me, okay, where's the CD? Then I brought him the master. And fast forward, he took the album to CDT. They manufactured CDs and they put them in shops, and that changed my life.
Wow.
And yeah, so I became a fully fledged business. So a gospel label had a Kwaito album.
That is so unheard of, And at the same time, you got into production. You got into producing and directing some music videos.
So also, look, when you spend so much time around Sipho, Afterlife were in studio at Cut and Edit, because he's recording different artists all the time. Even if he's not recording his albums, he's recording other artists. So that experience, I enjoyed being the T-boy.
Sure.
I enjoyed being the one ohamba yothenga amapanis. I enjoyed watching the interactions with all the people that came. I studied how to have the best attitude out of people that came around me. I'll look at people, they'll arrive with all the different celebrity statuses. Look at how they treat people. I'm like, okay, that's good, that's not good. And you take what you can work with. So I was that kind of a thief. Stole the great out of goodness and left the wrongs.
And what in the world, how do you go about then meeting the great Salif Keita?
Yeah. Look, before Salif, so I live Big Fish. I then say to him, look, Dad, I'm growing. You can see this thing is becoming something bigger. There's a lot of artists who want my help, so let me open a company where I can help a young generation like mine who are not singing gospel. He says, okay, sure, you've got my blessings. Where you get stuck, give me a call. Sharp. While I start that, we're doing, I think, DJ Bobo, Mpumalanga Rise, session 2 and 3, which are just big songs at the time. Abo Ayoba were big. I'll tell you a story about it. So now, while I'm home, trying to figure out how do I go about this, then a friend of mine called Edgar from Pretoria rocks up at my house with a white guy. They say to me, no, man, Mchana, this is a majita. I'm like, this is a majita. Because I'm thinking there's something wrong. Fellow, when someone pulls up, link, I'm like at home, like, okay, what's going on? He's like, no, man, they're looking for you. The only person I told them who can do this thing is you. Correct. What is it? He says, no, they're looking for someone who can do PR. There's a project they're about to release. So they want someone, they wanted to speak to me, but I just took something at uni. So I'm like, okay, no problem. Where do they work? Can I get an address and I'll make time, we'll come and talk. Because at the time, I think I was just a bit rattled with people being in my gate. So fast forward, I get an address. I'm coming to Bramfish. I think it's 156, somewhere down there. It's Sheer Sound.
Wow.
When I get to Sheer Sound, I mean, it's the owner, Damon Forbes, our Rob, Richard Woodling, and many others. Then they ask me and says, this is what we want to push. They give me CDs. The first CD was Peter Ndwane. The second CD was Oliver Mtukudzi, Sarah Walker. Which means Left Alone. So at the time, the CDs were not branded. I could only put the CD and then listen to the voice. So I listened to Peter, pumping, like, okay. I pick a single. I listen to the next one. When I put it, I'm hearing the voice I've always known from Neria.
Incredible.
I'm like, wow, okay. Is this a trick? What's happening? Can't be possible. Then we play the music. I pick a single. Then I take a step back. I'm like, hang on. Who are these two artists? Because the CDs are not written on top. Then I go back and say, I know, I can work with the sound. But who are the artists? we have a profile of each. Then they pull the profile for Peter, the profile for Oliver Mtukudzi, and put it on the table and says, this is what we need help with. And I'm like, wow.
Wow.
So then one says to me, can you do this? I'm like, yeah. Then he says, what do you want?
What did you say?
Then I'm sitting there thinking, I've calculated my problems as a young person to say if I can cover 1, 2, 3, then I'll be fine. Which is what I always advise young people. Before you make any business decision, calculate where it will take you. What will it solve in your life? So he was looking for someone to work for 3 months.
Okay.
And I was certain that I can do the work in 3 months, but I will not do it as great as it will be in 6 months. So I then said to him, in 3 months, you'll get half the results that you need to achieve. In 6 months, you'll get properly the results that you need. So instead of you selling me 3 months, let me sell you a 6 months dream. And then if you like what we achieve, we can take it from there.
Sure.
And I can tell you 6 months in 2011 became a number of years because I left here, I think, in 2018.
Wow. For something that was supposed to only be 3 months.
For 3
that
months.
was, wow.
And it was a moment that changed my life, gave me international recognition, international opportunity to work with Angie Stone, Glenn Lewis, the jazz greats. I got used to working in big festivals such as Makufe and many other things.
Yeah.
We did one night in Africa at Carnival City. So it propelled my knowledge from a local village boy or a national South African PR expert to an international marketing manager of a label at that level.
Incredible.
So from Oliver Mtukudzi, Angie Stone, Glenn Lewis, Pete Antoine, we pulled in Infinite Boys, may Raphael Soul rest in peace.
Oh, man.
So those are some of the things that we've done. But there were many other albums that we worked on. And those are the few I can recall for now. But I've worked in almost, I think, 110 of the biggest albums in the jazz sector.
And then there's a year, right? 2004.
Yes.
Moshito.
Moshito was formed in 2004. I was not there when it was formed, but it was formed by like minds like myself.
Yeah.
Who had passion to create a platform where South Africans can be able to converge at and exchange business knowledge, network, and be able to connect each other with opportunities.
And I love that because we always tend to forget, guys, it's sharp, and the music is beautiful, music is nice, and we enjoy listening to it. But it is a business at the end of the day.
It's one of the greatest business if you understand it well, and it's one of the most profitable one.
Yeah,
to be precise. So fast forward, I'm a kid growing up in the sector, so I'm familiar with conferences. I'm attending as a guest. I'll go empower myself. And I guess as you grow as a person, if you look at me being a village boy, an artist, a manager, now from a manager, I'm now an executive because I now have artists. I'm now negotiating deals. And people are realizing that there's something unique about Stan. There's this thing distinct about his ability to do certain things in the business. And of course, so I kept attending. Then at one point in my life, I think God sent me to Airco. And when I got to Airco, there were a couple of things that they were navigating as a business. And I'm a bubbly being. Like to them, no, what are the problems? If there's a problem, let me solve it. And then, unfortunately, one of the problems they had was just a small legal challenge that I could uncomplicate. Take note, I wanted to study law, but I couldn't. But at that time, I'm able to read and interpret what the solution is at that time without any qualification. And I asked them, do you have lawyers? They're like, yeah, sure, we do. I'm like, okay, that's good. So tell your lawyers this is what they must do. And the lawyers did their homework and they realized that I was right. And they then became drawn to my level of thinking and understanding, wanting to know more. And they then shared with me what their vision was. And when I realized what their vision was, it was exactly what I stand for as a person.
Wonderful.
So I then was happy to join the business. And once I joined the business, went through an AGM process. I was elected deputy president of the Association of Independent Record Companies. Being a deputy president, just as a deputy president of the country, there are portfolios that you are able to handle. And I was deployed at Moshito.
And what does the organization do, you know, the Association of Independent Record Companies?
It focuses on the development and advancement of the South African independent space. Insofar as music trade is concerned, music development of artists is concerned, it focuses on creating opportunities. For example, they've got music video subsidies that they do for their members. Which are long-term investment because once your videos plays on television, you get royalties for the use of your videos on television. So it's not just a promotional tool, it's an investment tool. So they do many things, man. They've got a legal facility that helps people with understanding contracts before signing. They conduct workshops across the 9 provinces of South Africa and training people about how to be an independent. Also, they got a unit that deals with registering CIPC and banks. So they create record companies.
Wow.
For anyone who wants to register a record label. So you go to one place, you get a business, you get a bank account, you get a SARS, tax clearance certificate or tax PIN, and of course...
DreamStream, a place to create yourself. Record video, music, and podcasts in our full-service studio. Record video, music, and podcasts in our full-service studio. DreamStream, a place to create yourself.
All these things are done with one objective, which is to simplify and formalize the sector.
And I absolutely love that because actually, you know, independent record labels really suffer a lot because obviously they don't necessarily have what a major label would probably have.
Yes, in terms of resources and support structure. So those are some of the things that I think I enjoy the most. And being deployed at Moshito was also a great add to my character. Moshito is one of the things that I believe in.
Yeah.
That's why when I serve at Moshito, I don't even look at what time is it. I can work 24 hours. I can work 6 days standing if it is to develop our people and to give them the opportunity to become 2 times what I've achieved.
So let's say someone is actually listening or watching this and they're not necessarily familiar of what the Moshito Music Conference is. So if someone attends, what are the expectations? What are the things that are actually happening at Moshito?
Look, Moshito is one of the fortunate greatest platforms that we have as a country. Number one, it's free to attend because it's sponsored by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Every year without fail, they make sure that there's Moshito. And their sole purpose is to create that platform as a base for artists, new entrants and professionals to be able to meet at a common space, to share the trades secrets of how to make it in the music business. And also just to analyze some of the business challenges because they're the same. For example, the digital rise of culture. Where are we? The social media platforms. Where are we? What are the opportunities, the disadvantages? And also Moshito, on an annual basis, it's a reflection of where the South African music industry is. If you look at this year, we're looking at what will democracy be without music. So we were introspecting on the role that music has played to bring this freedom that we enjoy. Many people don't know that songs like Slaves, I'm a Prisoner, were protest to bring the freedom that South Africans enjoy today. Not yet Uhuru by Letambuli. It's a protest song. So there are many songs that we can reflect back to. And that's the power of music as an instrument. So at Moshito, we get to see that lived in a week's moment, to be able to transform people's life by giving them topics that will empower them free of charge. I mean, we must really give credit where it's due. The sponsors that makes Moshito possible. When you deal with a 2-day conference with 5 events, where you employ talent to be able to work. You've got the opening night festival, you've got the Afro World Night, the Gospel Festival, you've got the Moshito Street Festival. Those activities and properties create a lot of employment.
100%.
For service providers, podcasters, media people, newspapers, digital platforms, to sound companies, camera people. So it's one of the most beautifulest platform to be at, because we even have the biggest exhibition platform where we showcase products that are made in South Africa. And that's why it's called Moshito Music Conference and Exhibition.
Amazing. And what role has Moshito actually played in policy in this country? Because we also know when government is actually concerned, in most cases they need to interact with whichever spaces, particularly in the creative economy.
So the formation of Moshito was purely to create that platform for government to meet with the sector at their own space. So Moshito becomes that it's the incarnate of government and its people, which is the artist in this case, the music executives, and the labels themselves.
That is amazing.
So at Moshito, you'll find a collective of promoters, a collective of record company owners, CMOs, collective management organizations, and all the artists, which makes the value chain. So that's the only platform in the country and in the continent that brings together everyone who's involved in the value chain. And where there are discussions about challenges and policies, then one is able to say, government, these are the recommendations that are stemming from Moshito. This is what is being recommended. These are the things that needs to be looked at.
And I can't, help but think of the bill, the protection bill that
the
a lot of...
Copyright Amendment Bill and the Performance Protection Bill.
You know what I mean?
We discussed extensively last year.
Particularly even like for the situation that actors are going through. However, I'm not sure if they have a platform like this, as opposed to be like, okay, government, let's go to you. But hey, government, this is what we have. Come to us.
Yeah, look, it is my wish that all the sectors and subsectors can have a platform like Moshito for their own. I think they feel the actors do have the Gauteng Film Summit, which puts together a conference of actors and speakers. So as a country, I think we're doing good. We're doing good. I must confess, we're doing great in all our subsectors.
And to be honest, we're a fairly new democracy. I mean, 30 years.
Yeah, look, we're failing you, but we need to move faster. We need to catch up because the digital migration is not waiting for us. Things are coming, and we need to be ready. There's AI now, which is now about to take things to another level. So we need to make sure that we advance, in terms of the speed at which we react to matters. But also, we do not need to follow all the time. I think we do need to take the lead. South Africa is number one in the world in terms of music consumption and export. The most played sounds in the world is mostly South African music. On TikTok, you can go to your top 100 charts. Even if you look at the Amapiano from Nigeria and all the others, the whole sound is the sound that is emanating from here.
Absolutely.
And they just use their own languages and voices.
That is absolutely amazing. Now, in terms of Airco, right? Now, if someone wants to now be a member, what are the T's and C's? Is there some form of a fee that people need to pay? And are you a member like forever, or is it only for like a certain period of time? How does it all work?
From my understanding is that it's a free choice. We live in a country where you've got the right to associate. You register with Airco on their website. You fill in a form, or you send them an email that I'm interested in registering. They'll send you a 7-tick box pack that tells you what you need to attach, which will be your CIPC documents, your bank proof of banking, your proof of address, your SARS details, and of course samples of your work. And then you'll of course pay a once-off membership fee of 450 rand, because one of the things that you're dealing with businesses, so there's some people who just like registering without any intention of doing anything. So you need to put up a registration fee to be able to assess the extent of seriousness for the person. So once that is done, then there's a vetting process that is then completed. They check all the things that you've submitted, make sure that you've got all the things. Then they know where to place you when there are workshops, because they'll look at, are you level A, a beginner, level B. So there's a categoric assessment of where a person is based on the details that they supply. Fast forward that, and then you then get your approval of membership status, so you become eligible to even attend AGMs. You've got voting right, you can sit on the board and be able to play your part in adding value to the growth of the independent space.
Who are some artists or record labels you guys have actually played a role in?
Look, to be quite honest, it puts me in a peculiar position as a deputy president to mention one, because the other one will say, why not us? So but what I know is that if you've got an organization like this that produces over 100 music videos for 100 independent record companies, that should be a measure of the empowerment that we pride ourselves with. We've got some of the best proudly indigenous artists that our country have.
So you're telling me, as an organization, you've subsidized about over 100 music videos?
Yeah, over a period of time, and we're about to announce another uptake. Yes,
that's amazing. Congratulations on all the work you're doing. Hey,
yeah, no, we try. Look, it's not the easiest of things, because you have to reach out to funders, you have to try and find ways to get this thing done. But we understand the importance of owning the work. So all these artists who are subsidized, they own 100% of their music videos, meaning they own 100% of their royalties.
And do you subsidize studio time as well? Because I know that can be a challenge for some artists.
Yeah, what we subsidize is the making of the music videos, because by virtue of being a collecting society that collects for television, we don't get involved in audio.
I see.
So organizations like IMPRA will be the one that deals with subsidization of audio recording.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Now, for you, I mean, you're doing very, very amazing. Vice President of Airco, you're also, of course, the chairperson, Moshito. How are things looking for you? I mean, where do you feel like you'll reach or you'll have to get to for you to be like, you know?
Look, for me, I think the next vision is taking Moshito to a 9-province satellite program that happens at once, simultaneously. Meaning, if we have Moshito in Johannesburg, someone in Polokwane must be at the Moshito Conference Center, watching the same proceedings, enjoying the same experience, and also being able to continue the relationships we have in the African continent with countries like Swaziland, Botswana, Doa, Mauritius, and Ioma, and all these others, and to build the sustainability of Moshito as a program. I want to see it independently able to function without interdependency on whether you have sponsorship or not. Because once you've got the ability to function and the enough resources to be able to run the program, you're able to announce on time, you're able to conclude deals on time, and to be able to make sure that the property is better taken care of. So those are some of the new things that I'm working towards. And of course, I've got a very dedicated team of people that are hard workers like myself. So that makes the work far much easier in terms of the dream board Of course, we'll want to see Moshito becoming bigger,
Yeah.
having offices in the 9 provinces so that we can be able to work together with the municipalities and the government at province level to be able to curate great programs that are led by Moshito in the whole country.
Incredible. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
You know, sounds huge, but you know, those are the kind of things that I feel like South Africa needs, particularly at this stage of where we're at, you know. But as we wrap up, there are people who want to actually be involved in, you know, the value chain of the music industry, just be in the music business, whether they want to do PR, whether they want to be artist managers, regardless of whatever it is that they want to do. What advice would you give to such people, and perhaps people who may not know a lot but are already in those spaces?
Yeah. So I always say to people, if you're in the music business because you think there's a lot of money to be made, you might be in a wrong business. But if you're in the music business because you've got talent and what it takes, it might take you to the most money. So firstly, you need to have the talent.
Yep.
And your talent must be backed by the right attitude in order for it to be packaged and sellable. And of course, you must give every opportunity you get your 110%. Every moment on stage is an opportunity to create another opportunity.
Yeah.
And as despite me being good as a manager, no matter how good I am at selling you as an artist, if your own talent is not selling you, there's not much we'll achieve. So humility and being able to give yourself time to understand that whatever opportunity you're given must give birth to another opportunity at all material times.
And I love that. It's also like always send the elevator back down for the next generation, the next part of people, because you got that opportunity, right?
Yeah. So when people were using the lifts, I used the stairs because I didn't want to take any shortcut. I wanted to understand my rise. And the reason why I'm not in a rush is because I know it's just a matter of time. So I always say to people, don't be in a rush. Don't be emotional. Today is today. Tomorrow is tomorrow. I fight with people for us to attain a goal, and we differ with opinions. But what happens today, tomorrow when I wake up, I reflect on what have I learned, what we're arguing about, because our arguments are not personal. Our arguments are based on how do we move to a level beyond where we are.
For sure.
Because we can't stay comfortable. We must always aim higher as people.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Stanley. This has been so inspiring, but also so insightful and educational. Thank you for making the time to come through. Eh?
No, it's a pleasure. For me, I really appreciate, and I'm honored to have been here. And in future, we will do it again. One day, someday.
Please, that would be amazing.
Thank you so much.
The one and only Stanley Khoza. This has been such a wonderful conversation. Hoping that you've learned just as much as I did. Now, again, please don't forget to subscribe. Make sure that you do tell us what kind of conversations you would like to have right here on Music Politricks. If you'd like to use the studio, maybe you've got your own podcast or you want to record your own music, all you need to do, send that important email. It is info@dreamstream.co.za. Kalina, Kenabusi, Baba Cool, Baba Des, Queen of Pitori, and Erona, we're outie.